Have you ever felt as though you are fighting alone? Like no one notices how hard you are trying? Like the world is moving too fast, and you've been left behind? Perhaps you woke up today and wondered whether it's still worth continuing. Maybe the pain, frustration, and disappointments have made you consider giving up. But before making any decisions, let me speak to you, heart to heart, because this message could be the turning point of your life. Have you ever had that feeling that everything and everyone has moved on, except for you? Have you felt like you're swimming against the tide, as if every step forward pushes you 3 steps back? You pray, cry, try, but nothing changes. And then that sneaky, cold, cutting thought comes, has God forgotten me? It's hard to admit, but many have thought this. Some are thinking it right now, as they listen to this message. God's silence can be deafening. Waiting can feel like an eternity. You start to wonder if there's something wrong with you. Is your faith not enough? Did you do something to push him away? Has he abandoned you? But listen to this. God has never forgotten you. The fact that you are still here, even if broken, is the living proof that he is taking care of you. You may not see it now, but God works even when you don't feel it. And often, it's in his silence that he is working the most. You know, when you plant a seed, it doesn't sprout the very same day. You don't see what's happening beneath the earth. But there, in the dark, in the depth, in the silence, the root is forming. It's invisible to the eye, but it is essential. Without the root, the plant cannot bear the weight of growth. Maybe that's what's happening to you right now. You are in the root stage, in the silent phase of the promise, in the invisible preparation of what is yet to blossom. In the Bible, Joseph had a dream. He saw what God had prepared for him. But what happened after that? He was thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, betrayed, imprisoned unjustly, forgotten. Years passed. Do you think he never asked himself, "Where is God?" But do you know what happened in the end? God placed him as governor of Egypt. All that seemed like abandonment was part of building the purpose. Now think about your life. How many times has something that seemed like the end actually been just the beginning of a turn? Maybe you lost a job and thought it was the end. But later, you found something much better, which you would never have pursued had you not lost the previous one. Maybe someone left your life and you thought it was rejection. But today you see it was protection. And still, there are days when we don't see any of this. There are days when getting out of bed is already a battle. You look at the ceiling and think, why should I continue? Why does everything go wrong for me? But let me remind you of a promise. Isaiah 49 verse 16 says, "Behold, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me." You are in his hands. It's not a metaphor. It's true. When God says he has engraved us on the palms of his hands, he is saying, I carry you with me. I see your pain. I know your struggle. And I am here. And that's why you can't give up now. How many things have you already overcome to get this far? How many nights of crying have you survived? How many situations that seemed impossible have you conquered? Do you really think you got here by chance? What if, right now, when you are thinking about giving up, is the moment when God is about to act? Many give up just one day before the miracle. One step before the answer. I can't take it anymore just before the turnaround. And you? Will you let this dark thought stop you now? Many famous people, who are now references, have gone through this. The singer Demi Lovato, for example, went through a true emotional hell. She struggled with addictions, disorders, identity crises. She came close to death. And when everyone thought she would disappear, she was reborn. And what did she say? She said that in her darkest moments, the only thing that kept her going was the faith that God had not finished with her yet. This applies to you too. God has not finished with you. And if you think you can't go on anymore, that's fine. That's when God steps in with the strength you don't have. The Apostle Paul said, "When I am weak, then I am strong." Because God's strength is revealed in our weakness. It's not wrong to feel weak. It's not a sin to want to give up. The mistake is believing that today's pain will last forever. Because it won't. It has an end. It has a purpose. It has a function, to shape you. Do you know about gold? It only becomes a jewel after passing through the fire. and the purer the gold, the higher the temperature it must withstand. You are being shaped by a God who doesn't discard what he created with his own hands. You are far too precious to be thrown away in the middle of the process. So here's a challenge for you. For the next 7 days, every day, before going to bed, write down 3 things you are thankful for. Even if the day was hard. Even if everything went wrong. Even if it's just I breathed today or I managed to get out of bed. This will train your heart to see God's care in the little things. And when you start noticing the small actions of God, you'll realize he has never abandoned you. He was just preparing you. And the best is yet to come. Not by strength, nor by luck, but because God is still writing happy endings. And yours has not arrived yet. Have you ever said to yourself, I can't take it anymore? Have you ever felt like life is putting such a heavy weight on your shoulders that breathing feels like too much effort? You look ahead and all you see are bills, problems, diagnoses, frustrations, silences. And you start to think, maybe I'm not as strong as I thought. But you know what? If you've made it this far, if you are hearing this message now, even tired, even feeling broken inside, you are much stronger than you think. Pain has the power to distort our perception. It makes us see ourselves as weak, as defeated, as someone with no way out. But the truth is that your endurance up until now already proves there is a strength inside you that you might not even know exists. And this strength doesn't come only from you. It comes from God. In 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9, God says to Paul, My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Do you see what he's saying? He doesn't ask for perfection or superpowers. He doesn't expect you to never cry, never fear, never feel pain. He just expects you to keep going, even weak, even trembling, even with tears in your eyes. It's when you feel the weakest, the most tired, the most worn out, that God's power is made most evident in your life. Perhaps you've been trying to handle everything on your own for far too long. You try to be strong for everyone around you. You smile when, inside, you're falling apart. You listen to others, solve their problems, but go to bed feeling like no one is truly listening to you. How many times have you thought, if I disappeared, would anyone miss me? How many times have you swallowed your tears in the bathroom or screamed silently into your pillow because you couldn't break down in front of anyone? But let me remind you, you are not weak for feeling this way. You are strong for continuing despite everything you're feeling. Think of that parent who wakes up early to go to work, despite being in pain, their heart in pieces, but they can't stop because they have children to care for. Or that young person who studies, works, helps out at home, and carries the weight of anxiety in silence because they think no one will understand. These people are stronger than they realize. And maybe, one of them is you. How many times have you fallen, thought it was the end, yet got back up the next day and tried again? How many times have you heard no, but kept going anyway? Look at your story. How many battles have you won without even realizing it? Do you really think someone weak could have gone through all of that and still be standing? Remember Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple? He was fired from his own company, publicly humiliated and discredited. But he didn't give up. He used that fall as fuel. He created a new company, returned with more wisdom, more experience, and changed the world of technology. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is not in the pain. It's in the decision to keep going even through the pain. And this is exactly where God steps in. He's not waiting for you to be 100% to help you. He doesn't need you to be okay to love you. He steps into the midst of your chaos and says, I strengthen you. I sustain you. I help you. It's not about never feeling fear. It's about moving forward despite the fear. It's not about never wanting to give up. It's about continuing even when everything within you screams to surrender. And as hard as it may seem, there is a secret that can help you greatly. Want to know what it is? Stop comparing yourself. Yes, comparison is one of the biggest causes of feelings of failure. You look at others' social media, see smiles, trips, accomplishments, and begin to think, everyone is winning, except for me. But what you see is just the stage. You don't see the backstage. You don't see the tears, the processes, the sleepless nights. And God isn't calling you to live anyone else's story. He's calling you to live your own story. And in that story, your pain has a role. Your weakness does too. It's at the bottom of the pit that many find the strength to reinvent themselves. It's when everything seems lost that the most creative ideas, the most beautiful new beginnings, and the strongest testimonies are born. So, don't underestimate what you're going through. It's not punishment. It's not bad luck. It's fertile ground for a new season. You don't need to be invincible. You just need to be honest with God. Say, Lord, I'm tired. I'm weak. But help me keep going. And do you know what He will do? He will give you strength you never imagined you had. He will renew your energy. He will show you that you are capable of starting over, growing, and winning. And here's a challenge for you. For 5 days, write down a small victory you had each day. It doesn't have to be something huge. It could be, today I got up, even though I didn't feel like it. Today I went to work, even though I wasn't feeling well. Today I smiled at someone, despite my heart feeling heavy. When you begin to recognize your strength, you will realize that you are far more resilient than you ever thought. And little by little, you will rise again. You've been through so much pain, but none of it was bigger than the plan that God has for your life. And believe me, you will eventually look back on this phase as the most powerful chapter of your story. There are times in life when everything inside of us screams for relief. The pain seems endless. The suffering drags on day after day, as if the clock stopped right at the darkest point of our story. And it is in that place, at that point where no one sees, where you are exhausted from pretending everything is fine, that a silent but deep question arises: why am I going through this? It's hard to understand. It's hard to accept that pain might have any purpose. We've been taught that happiness is the goal, that everything painful must be avoided. But what if it's exactly this pain that is pushing you towards the purpose that God has for your life? The truth is that no one grows in comfort. The greatest miracles in the Bible were born out of pain. Hannah only had Samuel after years of humiliation and barrenness. David only defeated Goliath because he was rejected even by his own family. And Jesus, the very Son of God, cried, sweated blood, was betrayed, carried a cross, and was crucified. Do you think God couldn't have prevented all of this? Of course, He could have. But there was a purpose. And the purpose always goes beyond what our eyes can see. Pain is not the end. Pain is the process. How many times have you looked back and thought, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have matured. If I hadn't lost that, I wouldn't have found myself again. If that person hadn't left my life, I'd still be stuck in a cycle that was harming me. Perhaps right now, you are in the middle of this process. You've lost someone. You're facing an illness. You've been betrayed, abandoned, or failed in a way you never thought you would. And everything inside of you just wants this phase to end soon. But listen, pain is also part of the building process. It's like a surgery. It hurts. It's painful. But it heals. The doctor cuts to save. And God, the doctor of doctors, often allows cuts to heal deep areas we didn't even know were sick. How many people, after going through moments of pain, discovered talents they had never explored? How many started businesses after being fired? How many grew closer to God after having their hearts broken? That's what happens when you realize that pain is not punishment, it's refinement. The butterfly must leave the cocoon on its own. If someone tries to help and opens the cocoon before its time, it dies. Because it is in the struggle to break free that its wings gain strength. Without effort, without pain, it would never fly. And perhaps you are inside your cocoon right now. Dark, tight, not understanding why you feel crushed inside. But you will come out. And you will fly. With wings that only pain can develop. The writer J.K. Rowling is a clear example of this. She was a single mother, unemployed, living on government assistance, battling depression, and rejected by numerous publishers. She was at rock bottom. But it was there, in the middle of pain, that she wrote the first Harry Potter book. She herself said, "It was when I stopped pretending to be someone I wasn't that I started becoming who I truly am." How many times have you tried to hide your pain? How many times have you heard it will pass and inside you scream, "But when?" God is not in a rush, because what He is building inside you is not fragile. It is eternal. And what is eternal takes time. Look at the cross. Jesus went through all of that. But after the pain, came the resurrection. And that's what is reserved for you. After the pain, comes new life, comes purpose revealed, comes the answer. Maybe now you don't understand, but one day you will look back and say, it was hard, but it was worth it. It hurt, but it transformed me. I thought I was going to die, but that's where I began to truly live. So please, don't waste your pain. Don't run from it. Learn from it. Ask, what is this trying to teach me? In which area of my life do I need to grow? Pain shouts, but God whispers. And sometimes, in the midst of suffering, it's when we hear His voice clearer than ever. Here's an invitation. For 1 week, take 15 minutes from your day to be silent before God, without asking for anything. Just saying, speak to me, Lord. Show me what you want me to learn from this phase. You will be surprised, because God speaks in the midst of the storm. And if you are attentive, you'll realize that He's teaching you how to swim in deep waters. You were not made to drown. You were made to cross. And in the end, you will not leave this pain as you entered it. You will leave stronger, more mature, and closer to the purpose God has for you. There are days when everything seems to have lost its meaning. You look around and can't see a way out. You look within and can't find strength. And deep down, you start believing your story is over. That this difficult chapter you're living is the final full stop. That the dream is finished. That the marriage can't be fixed anymore. That health won't return. That the project will never leave the paper. That you've tried everything and failed. But let me tell you something you might need to hear more than anything else right now. Your story is not over yet. It doesn't matter how many times you've fallen. It doesn't matter how many new starts you've had. It doesn't matter if you feel like you don't have any chances left. God is still writing. And He is not like men who give up halfway. He doesn't abandon unfinished stories. When God begins a work, He finishes it. And He finishes it well. How many times have you put a book down halfway because the chapter was too tough? The character's pain was too deep? Things were too difficult? But if you had continued for a few more pages, you would have seen the plot twist. You would have read the miracle. You would have felt the relief. You would have found the happy ending. Maybe that's what's happening with you right now. You are in the toughest chapter of your life. But the author is still writing. And the author is God. And He writes like no one else. He writes stories of new beginnings, of restoration, of overcoming. In the Bible, the psalmist David said in Psalm 30 verse 5, "Weeping may stay for the night, but joy comes in the morning." The night may seem long, cold, silent, but it is not eternal. It passes, and the dawn comes. It always comes. And when it does, everything starts to change. You may be feeling tired of trying today. Perhaps you placed too much expectation on something that didn't work out. Perhaps someone promised you love and then left. Maybe you built something over the years only to watch it collapse overnight. Perhaps you're facing the most significant financial crisis of your life, or the deepest internal struggle. And it feels like no one understands you, like no one sees you, like you're invisible. But listen closely, God sees you, and He is not done yet. You know that feeling when everything seems to be falling apart? Sometimes, it's not the end. It's God reconstructing things His way. Because He doesn't work with fragile structures. He tears down what is poorly built so that, on the rock, He can raise something that will last. Something that will withstand time, pain, and the storms of life. Have you ever seen a renovation? The demolition is ugly. It's noisy. It's messy. But no one starts a renovation by painting the walls. It begins with breaking things down. Because it's necessary to remove what is compromised to build something new and better. And maybe what you're going through right now is just that. A phase of breaking, of confusion, of loss. But it doesn't mean destruction. It means renewal. You may not see it now. You may not understand it. But God is rewriting your story. And what lies ahead is infinitely greater than everything that's behind. How many people shine today, yet once thought of giving up? How many people inspire today, yet were once disbelieved? Take the footballer Gabriel Jesus, for example. He used to paint sidewalks in his neighborhood during the 2014 World Cup to earn some money. He was just another boy with a dream. 4 years later, He was playing in the World Cup for the Brazilian national team. Can you imagine if he had stopped? Can you imagine if he had believed that was the end of his story? And you? Will you stop now? Don't let the pain of the present erase the future that's still to come. You are greater than your crisis. You are stronger than your loss. You are more capable than you realize. Perhaps what you're facing now is trying to make you forget who you are. But God reminds you, you were created with purpose. You are a son. You are a daughter. You have worth. And do you know what else? Heaven doesn't write stories without purpose. Each chapter of your life is being recorded by a God who sees everything. He saw when you cried in silence. He saw when you said, "I'm fine," but inside you were in ruins. He saw when you thought about giving up, but still got up the next day. So why do you think he would let your story end this way? It doesn't end in pain. It doesn't end in loss. It doesn't end in doubt. You will smile again. You will love again. You will rebuild. You will see everything God has promised you come to pass, in the smallest of details. But right now, you need to decide to keep going. Here's a simple but powerful exercise. For the next 3 days, write a letter to your future self. Talk about how you're feeling today, about everything you're facing, but then also write about what you hope to live, what you believe God will still do. Declare it with faith, as if you've already won. And keep that letter, because one day you'll read it again and realize that what was once only faith became reality. You didn't get this far by chance. God has carried you up to now, and He didn't bring you this far to abandon you halfway. You are not a draft. You are a masterpiece in progress, and the most beautiful page of your story is yet to come.